These were the summaries of the major news highlights of the day. I'm Stephen Enti. We're live from the news hub at Adisawe, Kanda. You can also hear us on 3FM 92.7. Up next is a big one. Right, let's start with our first story. President Akufo-Addo has launched the Nation Builders Corps geared towards tackling graduate unemployment. The program is expected to engage some 100,000 young men and women to assist in the public sector service delivery needs of Ghana. Here's a report by our Shanti regional correspondent, Ibrahim Abubakar.
The increasing rate of graduate unemployment has become a challenge for the country. Tertiary institutions in Ghana are churning out more people than the jobs available. As part of its commitment to tackle the high graduate unemployment, government has launched the Nation Builders Corps program. President Akufo-Addo indicated job creation would be accelerated through the implementation of flagship programs like the One District, One Factory, One Village, One Dam, and Planting for Food and Jobs.
Government's commitment to job creation will not end here, but will be accelerated through the implementation of our flagship programs of One District, One Factory, One Village, One Dam, and the program for Planting for Food and Jobs. We're also creating an enabling economic environment for the private sector to thrive, which will drive in investment, foreign and domestic, and thereby help create jobs.
Placement will last for a period of 3 years, earning trainees a stipend of 700 Ghana cedis every month. A beneficiary can exit the program as and when he or she gets a permanent job within the 3-year period. Meanwhile, Minister of Employment and Labour Relations Ignatius Bafuiwa says government has from January 2017 to March 2018 facilitated the creation of over 1.9 million jobs.
The emergence of NAPCO, therefore, cannot be more timely and accurate as it addresses the frustration, confusion, lack of hope, and direction for our youth. Therefore, your intervention is more apt and appropriate.
Right, and the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafuiwa, says the Akufo-Addo government has created over 1 million jobs in both the public and private sectors through various interventions. Bafuiwa disclosed this at the launch of the Nation Builders Corps in Kumasi.
The urgency to create jobs for the teeming graduates has become paramount, considering the fact that less than 10% of graduates that find jobs after their national service, according to a study conducted by the Institute of Statistical, Social, and Economic Research. The emergence of NAPCO, therefore, cannot be more timely and accurate as it addresses the frustration, confusion, lack of hope, and direction for our youth. Therefore, your intervention is more apt and appropriate. The good news is that your government has made significant strides in addressing unemployment situation in Ghana. Between January 2017 and March 2018, Mr. President, your government has facilitated the creation of 1,096,404 jobs in both the public and private sectors through various interventions. And this happened within the formal economy. So what happened within the informal economy is not even accounted for here. I want to believe that if there is any single intervention which addresses the school to work transition in our country, we can't have any better program than NAPCO.
Right, we have the Deputy Minority Chief Whip and MP for Banda joining me in the studio tonight, Ahmed Ibrahim. Good evening, Honorable. Thank you extremely for joining us. Now, there are many who say that this is actually a very bold step by government with this Nation Builders Corps, and it is aimed at addressing the teeming unemployment challenge our country faces. This is a good move, right?
My brother, to begin with, let me say a very good evening to you and to your cherished viewers as well. And to say a happy, happy May Day to
the millions of workers who make Ghana great,
yes,
making Ghana great again.
Including the non-existing ones that the government is talking of. You are asking a very sensitive question.
Is it a good move?
My brother, any move in creating jobs,
it's a good one.
It's a good one.
So this is a good
By this one, it's not creation of jobs.
Okay. Why do
when
you say so?
When you take somebody's job and give to another person, you haven't created anything.
So whose jobs have been taken away from them?
You know,
I mean, this is the creation of a new program.
Government is saying that he's going to create new jobs. Government has 10 nation builders call. Government says he's going to create a job called Planting for Food and Jobs. Do you know the source of funding? Government has directed the 255 district assemblies across the country that henceforth no district assembly should award a contract.
But we don't have evidence of what you're saying.
Government assembled all the DFOs, the coordinating directors, the district chief executives in Ashanti region last week or so, and gave them a directive as to how they should spend the district assembly common fund. A percentage on nation builder score, a percentage on district assembly on school feeding, 40% on school feeding, 20% on 20% on planting for food and jobs, 20% on nation builder score, and 20% on development.
So let's
going forward,
let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Let's not go forward now. Let's get it straight. So you are suggesting that the government is creating a good program, but it has irregular sources of income, for which matter it is illegally acquiescing the funds for the district assemblies into this program.
When were giving those monies at first, they were not giving those caveats. So those monies, these were the monies that were used to build the schoolroom buildings, the cheap compounds, the fixing of the petty things, and they were using the local artisans in the various assemblies. So now what government is doing is that the district assembly should not go forward in awarding those contracts, so the artisans, the carpenters, the masons,
I must put on record that we are unable to independently verify the claims you're making.
This is the official directive and with official communication given to the district assemblies nationwide. So going forward, no district assembly is going to involve the carpenters,
the program is
good. The contractors are going to be deprived of their
jobs. The program is good, but the way they're going about it is bad. That's what you're saying.
If you are bringing a new program, you shouldn't destroy the existing one. So now, because the Masons have not been to university,
but you don't even see this as prudent management of the country's resources.
Man, brother, let me tell you, when you sit in Accra, you think Ghana is Accra. Accra, you see the Labone Secondary School, you see the University Primary School, you see all roads are fixed, all schools are built. When you go to the rural areas, you see that people are sitting on the bare floor with their chairs without even furniture. So if you say the money that should be meant for them should be used to pay graduate workers, should not be used to construct their schools, their cheap compounds, people are being put on motor bicycles and sent to hospitals.
So you're saying this program is virtually creating jobs in Accra while depriving the rural folks of jobs.
Government has given every district assembly, all the 255 district assemblies, that those assembly, they should use only 20% of the district assembly common fund on development. And that development includes administration. So that no district assembly is going to put up school. Government has rolled up a free SHS. Now, if you go to the hinterlands, they don't have school buildings.
Your view is that the program...
So instead of the assembly helping in awarding contracts, engaging local contractors, local artisans, carpenters, masons, painters, and all those, even the people who carry fetch water for those contracts to be done. Now they are going to be deprived of their job because government is not going to be doing construction again. That is where my source of worry is.
So you want the program to stop?
It is not a matter. Government should fund a new source of funding for the program. Government shouldn't give that directive. Or that directive that has been given to all the district assemblies should be reversed. That is my sort of worry. So that directive should be reversed. The district assembly decentralization must be allowed to work. The district assemblies must be allowed to identify their local needs and use the district assembly common fund to address those local needs accordingly. Government shouldn't
Honorable, you've raised key issues about the funding sources and all of that, but let's focus on the program. The program is here to stay. It has been launched. I'm not sure whether when your government come into force, you like to scrap the program or you like to put in place a regular source of funding for this program.
Let me tell you, this is not new.
I know.
My government included this program in the youth employment in front of pay internship.
And the Kufuor administration started a similar program.
Where graduates were being paid. So you don't rename it. After renaming it, then you say that henceforth, no, this assembly should be using 20% of their money on it. They should not use it.
So it means that you don't even believe that government. You don't even believe that government says it has created about 1 million jobs in the short period it took.
By now, leave me here.
Because you're saying that some jobs are being destroyed for others.
The president, His Excellency Nana Addo, promised that in 3 months' time he was going to get that figure to Ghanaians. Today, could he say it? Why didn't he himself speak by saying it? He promised that he was going to give it to us.
But
he couldn't.
The employment minister is the one who is designated.
The promise came from Nana Addo himself. Today he was there. From the horse's woman, he should have gone ahead to say it.
But
and you know how the employment minister even put it.
That's why he is. That's why he has appointed an employment minister. No, but that's why he has appointed. That's why he has appointed an employment minister. So if the employment minister speaks, it is the president speaking.
When the minister for Agri came out with 745,000 as the figure for planning for food and jobs, the way his own MPs, led by Honorable Kennedy Ajapon, said that even those figures were wrong.
Honorable, I'm afraid we have to wrap up our conversation.
The president himself was so circumspect in such a way that if he wouldn't say it, you are a minister, you go and say it.
I'm afraid we have to wrap up with our conversation. Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim,
we are challenging them from minority that they should bring the regional and sectoral breakdown of the figures.
So that we all know the breakdown.
So claim that they've created 1 million jobs
Honorable,
within
we're grateful for
within
time.
15 months.
Thank you extremely for joining us. Very heated answers you're giving me there, but we seek to make the program better, I guess. I want to, so that graduates could get key skills that are needed to be in the job market. Let's do some other stories now. They work tirelessly for their companies to thrive, but do their rewards and conditions of service match the work they do? As the world celebrates workers everywhere, we've been finding out what could be the ideal incentive for the Ghanaian worker.
The introduction of incentives tend to motivate employees to give up their best at the workplace. Well, some institutions will even go to the extent of increasing their workers' salaries, giving them bonuses, and even instituting award schemes. Well, as Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark Workers' Day, we ask, what is your ideal incentive?
A house, a portable one, of course, not any other quarters, a portable house where the person can at least have his peace of mind and then he will work effectively.
Well, a house may not be too much to ask for if that is what will motivate the person to give off his best to turn things around in a company. Salary increments and allowances are also key to some workers.
You increase the salaries. As you increase salaries, it should come along with some other side monies that we can use to meet our needs. You know, relying on the salary alone, sometimes, especially those with families, you are not able to meet some of the needs.
Some of us really get a very early, like maybe 6 a.m. and then leave around 6, 7, still working. So I think they should motivate those of us by giving us very heavy incentives because it's very necessary.
Nowadays that they are strict on time, so I believe that we should look at transportation in general. You know, it's not all of us who are having cars to come to work, and we are supposed to come to work early. And sometimes look at the traffic. If they can provide the vehicle, they can give soft loans for most of the workers to get these vehicles at a reduced price, and they can pay at a lower rate.
For some, being recognized for hard work done is the ideal incentive.
If the organization will give me that opportunity to rise through the ranks and go to the top, then I believe that is a motivation for me as an individual. But if it is like you cannot rise through the ranks then that, for me, that organization is not worth working for.
So they should give us like bonuses and other stuff, so it will motivate us to work hard. Rent allowance and other stuff. It all comes like together as in the money. So
like instituting maybe awards beside our problem, trying to give a soft loan from the bank to them so that their standard of living will be very, very good. For May Day, I don't think it's even significant for us to be celebrating because there are a lot of issues, and every year they bring out a very nice and conducive words. That part maybe doesn't even help the layman at the end of the day.
Well, these views are likely to reflect what other Ghanaian workers would expect from their employers. Hope the employers are watching.
And this is still News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe, Kanda on May Day. We have more news for you. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, the Volta Regional Branch of the Food and Drugs Authority has impounded 2 coaches attempting to smuggle uncustomed and uncertified medicinal products into the country through unapproved routes. The products were being transported from Nigerian route to Kumasi but were intercepted at Sogakope in the South Tong district. Here's a report by Robert Abelba.
The interception of the Kia buses with registration numbers GT493618 and GT450317 was made possible following an intelligence and effective collaboration between the police, the Food and Drugs Authority, and the customs led to the interception at Sugakope toll booth and barrier. Officials gave the street value of the intercepted medical products as 100,000 cedis. They were being transported from Nigeria through Benin, Togo border and heading for Kumasi. Drivers of the 2 buses were subsequently arrested and are currently assisting in further investigations. The Volta Regional Manager of the FDA, Gordon Akurugo, expressed dismay over continuous attempts by people to outwit the system.
Upon our search, we found out that there were assaulted drugs, be it diclofenac, antibiotics were found in the vehicle in large quantities.
It is a public health violation under Act 851, subsection 122 of the Food and Drugs Law, to import and distribute medicines and other medical products through unapproved routes into Ghana. The law identifies only the Kotoka International Airport and Tema Harbour as the only approved routes for medical products.
And over 700 people at Techiman North District have been rendered homeless, with some of the victims receiving treatment in various hospitals of Techiman. Over 150 houses at Chobodom and its environs, also in the Bunahafo region, have been ripped off following rainstorm in the early hours of Sunday. Information indicates property destroyed is valued in thousands of Ghana cedis. Here's a report by Johnson Techi.
NADMO officials and the district chief executive of the Techiman North, Peter Mensah, visited the homeless yesterday in the hope of providing them with relief materials and clothing. Some of the victims have already started re-roofing their houses through their own efforts. The people of Tobodom in the same month last year experienced similar rainstorm which rendered hundreds homeless. The chief of Tobodom, Nana Obeng Ameya Barima, pleaded with government, NGOs and the Techiman North Assembly to speedily respond to their calls for assistance.
All victims should be patient because we are appealing for help from the government.
One resident rendered homeless claims over 150 houses have been wrecked by the rainstorm.
I didn't get any help from the district assembly. Through my efforts, I am trying to re-roof my building.
Several of the homeless are now seeking refuge with their neighbors, and the rest are staying with their parents nearby.
And the new WBO World Super Bantamweight champion Isaac the Royal Storm Dogbe arrived home to Heroes' welcome, full of emotions for his achievement. He told the media he is grateful to his team, especially Paul Dogbe, the father who he described as his backbone.
A team that was around me, you know, for the fact that they kept me motivated, you know, in a time when I just felt a little bit down. However, they always kept on, you know, motivating me. They always kept me going. And I didn't feel like, you know, there was anything that was unexpected or anything. It's an entertainment, you know, business. Sometimes you have to go through the bad days in order to see the brighter days. And I just want to big up my team for great, you know, great work that they did. If my dad should retire, then I believe that I've accomplished whatever, paid my dues to the nation of Ghana, so I'm going to have to retire as a very young champion.
And as you sit at home watching the news, do you sometimes wonder what it feels like to be on the other end of the TV broadcast? Well, I can tell you, the seat is definitely hot. Two CEOs of leading brands in the country swapped seats with my colleague Alfred Akanse and Natalie Fort for TV3's special May Day Topsy-Turvy News 360 edition. Solis Rose-Corte reports.
Every holiday, TV3 gives some selected individuals from various sectors in this country the opportunity to spend a few hours in the shoes of news anchors and presenters. For some, it's a breeze, but for others, not so much. But at the end of the day, one thing is for certain, it's definitely an experience they will never forget in a hurry. The May Day edition of Topsy-Turvy kicked off with the morning show, New Day.
It is ourselves, and sometimes it amazes me when you are sitting in the car, you just feel some watery substance coming from a car in front of you.
Know that the government has a passion for cleaning up the city and wanting us to be the cleanest city.
Then came Midday Live, which was anchored by award-winning musician and president of Musiga, Bais Osei Kufuor, aka Obwo.
President Akufo-Addo, who disclosed this at the launch of the program in Kumasi, said beneficiaries will be paid 700 Ghana cedis for the 3-year program.
Then the troop for TV3's flagship bulletin, News 360, arrived, and in all confidence. Confidence that seemed to fizzle out at some point. First came soundcheck.
Hello, it is 9 p.m. in Johannesburg, 8 p.m. in Abuja, Nigeria, and here in Accra, it is 7 p.m.
Then came makeup. Then it was lights, cameras, action. The life of a television presenter looks glamorous on screen, but is it?
Now when I'm watching TV and I see people, the anchors, I think my grading, my assessment of what they do is elevated because I know what is involved and a lot of work that they do.
Take it for granted what happens on your screen. Being through the process, you actually appreciate how much goes into what happens on the screen, and it's been really, really exciting. It's a good experience. It's my first one.
Well, don't worry your heads too much. Even the pros have their moments.
Up next is Vagina, the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards.
So being in front of a camera, whether as a presenter or a news anchor, is fun and can be exciting. Unfortunately, it's also very hard work that requires the utmost preparation as well as attention. Because let's face it, anything you say or do might be used against you or for you forever. And don't forget that the internet never forgets. Solis Rose-Corte, TV3, Adesanwe, Kanda, Accra.
That's it for the news. I'm Stephen Enti. Thank you for staying with us. On behalf of the crew, good night and happy May Day to the millions of workers in our country. Good night.